Now, when you're out in countryside as remote and as beautiful as this, it's easy to forget just how important our 27,000 urban parks are as the green lungs of our towns and cities right across the UK. But they're being threatened like never before as cutbacks bite. The spectre of property development looms over them, and at least 100 playgrounds could close in the next year. But there is hope. Paul is in London with an inner city community that's fighting back with a blueprint that others could follow.
Tottenham, North London, haunted by the Broadwater Farm riots in one of the most deprived areas of Britain just over 30 years ago. Nearly 100 people ended up in hospital, and policeman PC Keith Blakelock lost his life. Back in the late 80s, the Broadwater Farm estate was a no-go gangland ghetto. But today, it's a very different story. And one of the big factors behind the Renaissance is this, the Lordship Recreation Ground. Over the past 17 years, it's been transformed into a 64-acre urban oasis where nature rubs shoulders with everything from keep-fit fanatics and cycling devotees to the country's first mini-model traffic area. And of course, football. And if you're like me, you probably got caught up in World Cup fever. But these kids, they love football all year round. They're just one of 11 teams that train here on the Rec. And there's no shortage of space to do a Harry Kane. Come on then, guys. Someone who's in no doubt what a difference a city park like this can make is Clasford Sterling MBE. Broadwater United's youth coach, who's lived and worked in the area for more than 40 years. How important is this green space to all of these youngsters?
I mean, this is their field, this is their ground, this is their home. They spend most of their time here. The field and the park, they bring people together of all cultures.
Once the jewel in the crown of the area, the park took a turn for the worse in the 1980s.
Through circumstances which I would say bad housing planning of the local authority, it just started to go downhill. We had a bad drugs problem over here, violence problem, prostitution, suicides. I mean, there were empty flats over here like nobody's business. Nobody wanted to come here. And it was just, the park was getting worse and worse and worse. And it was a sight for sore eyes. I mean, to look at it, it was just deteriorating fast. People didn't hardly want to walk through the park because there was crime going on. I think we've woken up the local authority to the fact that the park can bring community together, and the local authority could actually use the community for positive things out there.
Sure, yes.
You know, rather than trying to knock it down or build on it, every neighbourhood should have
a space like
what we have here.
It's not just a place for people to go, it's changed people's lives. Over the years, the Rec has produced more than 200 professional footballers. Incredible, isn't it? It all starts here, look, at grassroots level.
I can honestly say this is a field of champions.
I like that, the home of champions, and there's some out there.
Yes. If this weren't here, that wouldn't be happening. We all try and create an environment where we can stimulate everybody and everybody be happy. And the park and this field is doing its part.
So what's the picture like across the rest of the country? And how did this park rise from the ashes? Someone with all the answers is Dave Morris, chair of the Rec, Friends and England and Wales National Parks Federation. How much money does the government spend on parks?
It's about £1 billion a year, and that isn't really enough. We reckon about £3 billion a year is what's actually needed. Our parks are really struggling across the whole country. What we've done in this park is the community have kind of stepped up to the plate and said, right, we're going to co-manage the park with the council.
And does that work well?
Yeah, it works great.
How are the councils around the country plugging the gaps?
What councils are trying to do is look for other sources of revenue. That can be a negative thing, increasing commercialisation, bits of parks are being rented out or used for big commercial events. Unfortunately, in some cases, some councils are even considering selling off some of their portfolio in order to continue to finance the rest.
The picture is indeed grim. Newcastle has slashed its parks budget by 90% over the past 7 years. Liverpool is thinking of selling off some of its green spaces to save cash. And Bristol's spending next year will be zero. Yes, zero. But here in Tottenham, the mix of lottery funding, council commitment and people power seems to be just the tonic. A record number of 1 million people a year come into the park. Proof just how important it is.
We believe that what we've achieved here has shown how communities and councils can work together to create fantastic green spaces that attract masses of people from our local community. It's worked here, so there's no reason why it can't work everywhere. So we need to work with our local authorities to put pressure on those that really control the purse strings at the top, which is the government.
More than half of us in the UK use parks more than once a month, and it's reckoned that green spaces in London alone save the health service a whopping £950 billion a year. And what's better for your well-being than getting back to nature? Sandra Dessa has been helping at the Haringey Gardens next to the Rec since 2016. Today she has a helping hand from son Delano and me. Delano, what was the purpose of the Haringey Gardens, do you know?
The purpose is so everyone eats healthy and you enjoy to eat the food that you grow.
I'm very passionate about teaching children, so using nature as an educational tool. So sowing the seeds and cultivating their futures. And it's a pleasure to me when I see a child actually picking and harvesting, or if they turn around and say, Miss, you know, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Wow. You know, what can you say to that? It just warms your heart.
As well as an outdoor classroom, the 40 or more nationalities who live in the area are also welcome to eat the fruits of their labour in the nearby cafe, or pick it straight from the ground. How important is all of this to the local community?
Extremely important, because this is a community effort. They're extremely passionate and they're dedicated to making this estate a happy estate to live in. Yeah. A good thing about this place as well is the range of the multicultural and the ages that come through here as well.
Diverse.
It's very extremely diverse. This is paradise in the middle of Broadwater Farm Estate, in the middle of all this concrete. And there you go, you walk into this. It's just beautiful and wonderful.
It's hard to believe that this incredible inner city haven was once tainted by theft, drugs and prostitution. And in the face of cutbacks, this place is a real inspiration to the rest of us around the country to pull together to save our parks. Small patches of paradise at the heart of every community. It's not all plain sailing, there's always work to be done. But here's to its health and a very happy future for generations to come.